Hey, what's up guys? Duct here, and today we're back on Hypixel Skyblock, and we're gonna be talking about sword progression. So, I recently did an armor progression video, and a lot of people in the comments, like 50 likes or something on the top comment, was saying, well, they want a sword progression one. So, today, we're doing the sword progression. So, I hope you all enjoy. If you do, consider liking the video, and let's get right into this. Alright, so when you're first starting out Skyblock, you're gonna have a couple options for your beginning weapon, but none of them are very good. But I would suggest just to go with an undead sword. You don't have to enchant it this thoroughly. I wouldn't, actually. I would maybe just throw, like, sharpness on it or something. Just nothing crazy, maybe, like, luck to try and up your chances of getting lapis armor, but besides that, I would not enchant it this far. But here's an undead sword, although it does have knockback for some reason. I don't even remember when this sword came to be honest. But essentially, undead sword, what you're going to go for first, it's only 100 coins from the shop, so it's definitely worth getting. And it does an extra 100% damage against zombies, so you probably actually don't want to go sharpness, you probably want to go smite. Because all the mobs in the mine are essentially either zombies or skeletons that are going to be a major problem. There are slimes, but yeah, they're not a major problem, generally speaking. So you're definitely going to want to go the undead sword for the beginning, like essentially just to survive the mines, and use that with Smite 5, because that'll be a really good sword for the mines. Now, after you want to move on from your undead sword, how early you want to do this, it's up to you. You're probably going to want to move on to a Silver Fang, which you can't really craft yourself because it's quite a hard recipe to unlock. It's a gas tier 6, which is 5,000 gas tiers collected, and the recipe takes 25 enchanted gas tiers, which is essentially each gas tier takes 5 gas tiers, so that's 125 gas tiers, essentially to make the Silver Fang, which isn't that expensive actually to craft, but that's a really hard recipe to get if you're just starting out. So you're probably just going to want to buy one of these from the auction house. They're only between 2,000 to 5,000 coins. I might have overpaid a bit from that trying to get one for this video, because I obviously don't still have one, but you know, I wouldn't pay more than like 5,000 coins for one. Now, after you have a Silver Fang, you're gonna be headed towards the mid to late game content. More mid game, I'd say. So you're probably gonna want to go for an aspect of the end. There's a couple options when you're doing this. So an aspect of the end, it is essentially not the hardest thing to get in the Ender Pearl collection. It's from Ender Pearl 8, so you do need 25,000 Ender Pearls collected. And it does 100 base damage and 100 base strength. So essentially, rather than just having the damage from the Silver Fang, it also has strength, and also it has a really good ability, which is you could teleport, and that's really nice to have, and also it has speed on it as well. So like, here, I can use it right now, so you can essentially, you just teleport around, which is really cool, and essentially, you're going to want to keep this sword around forever, even after you have a better weapon than this. The actual recipe for it takes 32 Enchanted Eye of Enders, which is only 32 stacks of Enchanted Ender Pearls. I know only, but essentially, you can get that pretty easily with 5 to 10 Enderman minions, and now that the end is out, it's not that hard to get the initial Enderman minion, so really, getting the aspect of the end is not that difficult anymore. Or you can buy one on the auction house. They're not super expensive. Well, there could be the hundreds of thousands of coins still, but simply because there are other people that still want them. The thing is, as long as there's demand, there's still going to be a price. So it's not super cheap, but it is definitely worth getting. And the other option here is a Golem Sword, but I really wouldn't suggest the Golem Sword because the aspect of the end, just the ability is so good, even though the Golem Sword does do a tiny bit more damage. Alright, so if you're looking for something in between I guess I would say an early late game weapon, you're gonna probably want to look at the Leaping Sword. The Leaping Sword is gonna be in the Spider Eye collection. Right here at Spider Eye 9, it takes 50,000 Spider Eyes to unlock the collection, so that is going to take a bit. The thing is, you're probably going to have that if you have the 24 enchanted Spider Eyes, or the 24 enchanted forbidden Spider Eyes, which each enchanted forbidden Spider Eye takes a stack of enchanted Spider Eyes, so you get the feeling it's not the cheapest sword. But it is an early late game sword. It does quite a bit of damage. I don't have one, obviously, because that's one thing I don't have here. You have the option of completely skipping this tier and going straight to something like the Aspect of the Dragons or the Penguin Sword, but some people like to go for the Leaping Sword because it makes it pretty easy to be able to one-shot Zealots, and also now that they're adding more late game content like the Slayer and possibly the Dungeon soon, this is definitely something that you might want to consider. Alright guys, now for late game, which I had to change my UI so we can actually see it. Here's a aspect of the dragons. So the aspect of the dragons, essentially, they went from aspect of the end to aspect of the dragons. So aspect of the dragons you could get from a dragon fight. You have a chance of getting it. Essentially, it's a very low chance. You do have to place eyes, I believe, and it's just you hope to get it. Essentially, also doing more damage helps as well, but that's always, hard to do if you're trying to get it for the first time. The other option is to try to buy one on the auction house. They are definitely not cheap, but it's a really, really good sword. The alternative to this is a pigment sword, which you get from the Raw Pork Chop 9 collection, which takes 50,000 pork chops to unlock the recipe. The problem is, the actual crafting takes around 1.2 million pork chops, which is quite a lot. So essentially, if you want to go for pigment sword, you can. The main difference being, if you're going for pigment sword, you know you're going to get it eventually. If you're trying to get the aspect of the dragons from a dragon fight, it's entirely luck-based. Unless you're going to buy it from the auction house. If you're buying from the auction house, I would definitely go for the aspect of the dragons over the pigment sword, because there are a lot more aspect of the dragons, which means the price is going to be lower. So if you've made it to this point in the game, you're an extremely rich player. But I'm going to go over it anyways. So after you got your aspect of the dragons or your pigment sword, you got it maxed, you've been grinding with it for a while, you want to move on. What do you move on to? At the moment, there aren't that many options. There are the new Slayer items, but the Slayer items are really only good against the specific mobs, which really at this point in the game, you really only want swords that are good against everything, unless you're really going to get every single different Slayer sword, then maybe, but I'd say most likely you're going to want to go for this sword. The problem with this sword is it's so expensive. So here's a 50 mil Midas sword. This is right now the best sword in the game. It has a base of 270 damage, which compared to the aspect of the dragons, basically that's another, another 45 damage, essentially. Basically, compared to the aspect of the dragons, it has another 45 damage and another 20 strength, which, isn't that crazy. But that's pretty much the only difference between the two swords. It just has another 45 damage and another 20 strength. But for being the best sword in the game, that does make a difference, of course. So if y'all want to get this, you can buy it at the dark auction. You have to bid over 50 million coins, which this one was paid for, 50,040,000 coins. Yeah, it does a lot of damage. I'm probably going to be acquiring this sword soon, but currently right now it is not mine yet. Probably going to try and buy it off the person. We'll see. We aren't super rich, but we're going to try. We got like 30, we have a little over 30 mil, and then we have stuff worth some money, so we might be able to acquire one. I just don't know if it's really worth it for the 45 damage and the 20 strength. Is it worth going over the Aspect of the Dragons? I don't know. But it is the best sword of the game, so if you are looking for the most in-game content possible, here you go, the 50 mil Midas sword, which you're going to want to reforge for Spicy, most likely. Anyways, guys, that's going to be the end of this sword progression video. I could go on and, explain how much damage each one does against different mobs, but then this video would be, 20 minutes long, and who wants a 20-minute video explaining what sword's best? Come on. Anyways, I hope you all did enjoy the video. If you did, consider liking it. Helps me out a lot, helps promote the video, all that. And if you're new here, maybe consider subscribing for more content. Anyways, see y'all in the next one, guys. Peace.